All right, let's dive in and untangle this web of cybersecurity chaos.
It's a wild world out there, and January 2025 is already throwing some curveballs.
For starters, healthcare data breaches have hit a record high.
It's staggering. 180 million records compromised just in 2024.
Wow, 180 million? I don't even know what to compare that to.
Think of it this way, it's like every single person in Germany having their medical info exposed.
Okay, yeah, that paints a pretty vivid picture.
And that's just one piece of the puzzle.
So what else is on your radar?
Well, we're seeing a convergence of cyber threats, national security, and even our daily lives.
Okay, let's unpack some of that, starting with the U.S. Treasury sanctioning those Chinese hackers, right? The Salt Typhoon Group.
Exactly. They were accused of infiltrating American telecom companies and even getting into the Treasury's own network.
And how did they manage that?
Apparently, they stole a key from Beyond Trust, a third-party vendor.
Ah, so it's like having Fort Knox security but leaving a side door wide open.
Precisely. And it highlights the vulnerability of software supply chains. Even if your own systems are secure, a weak link can bring everything down.
Right, so it's a chain reaction.
And this case also shows how cyber espionage is being used in geopolitical competition.
Nations using cyber attacks for leverage.
Exactly. And it's not just about stealing data. It's about disrupting economies and sowing discord.
Speaking of national security, what about the FBI using that Chinese malware's self-destruct feature?
It was a bold move. They cleaned up over 4,000 infected computers in the U.S.
Wow, using the malware's own code against it.
It's a fascinating example of how security experts can turn the tables on attackers.
But it does raise some ethical questions, doesn't it?
Huh.
About government access to private systems.
It's a delicate balance between security and privacy, and one we'll continue to grapple with.
Absolutely. It's a debate that's not going away anytime soon.
Okay, shifting gears a bit, let's talk about North Korea.
What have they been up to in the cyber world?
They've been busy. Reports show they stole a whopping $660 million in cryptocurrency in 2024.
660 million. That's a serious haul.
It highlights how they're using cybercrime to fund their regime and evade sanctions.
So they're a threat on multiple fronts.
Absolutely, and their tactics are becoming increasingly sophisticated.
Like what?
Well, for instance, they're targeting freelance software developers with fake job offers related to Web3 and cryptocurrency.
Clever. Preying on the gig economy and the allure of the tech world.
And once they gain access to a developer's computer, they can steal code, log in credentials, and all sorts of valuable information.
It's a reminder that we all need to be wary of phishing scams, no matter how tempting the offer might seem.
Right, always double check those emails and job offers, folks.
Okay, so we've got Chinese hackers, North Korean crypto heists. What else is going on?
Well, Microsoft uncovered a new Russian cyber espionage campaign using some sneaky tactics.
Oh, what are they up to?
They're using broken QR codes and WhatsApp group invites to target government officials and organizations supporting Ukraine.
Wow, QR codes and WhatsApp. Who would have thought?
It shows how adaptable these attackers are. They're constantly finding new ways to exploit our trust and our reliance on technology.
So it's not just about clicking on shady links anymore.
It's about being aware of potential threats lurking in all sorts of digital nooks and crannies.
Right. Vigilance is key, and we need to stay informed about the latest threats.
Absolutely. Knowledge is power in the cybersecurity world.
Okay, let's talk about some of the major vulnerabilities that have been making headlines.
One that's particularly concerning is a zero-day vulnerability in Fortinet's FortiOS and FortiProxy software.
Now, for our listeners who aren't familiar with the term, what exactly is a zero-day vulnerability?
It's basically a flaw in software that's unknown to the vendor, so there's no patch available to fix it.
Crap, it's like a ticking time bomb.
In a way, yes. And this one's a big deal because Fortinet's products are widely used in corporate networks and critical infrastructure.
So potentially a lot at stake.
And to make matters worse, a hacker group called the Belson Group has leaked data stolen from 15,000 Fortinet firewalls.
Oh no, what kind of data are we talking about?
IPs, passwords, device configurations, the kind of stuff that makes an attacker's job a whole lot easier.
Yikes. This leak shows how long-lasting the impact of data breaches can be.
Exactly. Even if a vulnerability is patched, the stolen data can come back to haunt you years later.
So it's not enough to just fix the immediate problem. We need to think long-term.
Absolutely. And this case also highlights the importance of data retention policies. Organizations need to be careful about what data they store and how they dispose of it.
Otherwise, they're creating a goldmine for cybercriminals.
Precisely.
All right, let's turn our attention to Google. They've been having some security issues too, right?
It seems no one is immune these days. They recently discovered an OAuth flaw that could expose accounts when domain ownership changes.
Now, for those who aren't tech savvy, can you explain what O is?
Sure. OAuth is a technology that allows users to log in to websites and apps using their existing accounts from other services like Google or Facebook.
Ah, so it's that sign in with Google button we see everywhere.
Exactly, and this flaw means that if you control a domain name, you could potentially gain access to accounts that use that domain for OAuth authentication.
So it's a pretty serious vulnerability.
It is. It highlights the importance of secure authentication, even in widely used technologies like Oath.
We can't just assume these things are foolproof.
Right. We need to be aware of the potential risks and take steps to protect ourselves.
Speaking of risks, Microsoft has found a critical flaw in macOS that could bypass Apple's system integrity protection.
That's a big one. SIP is designed to prevent even administrators from making unauthorized changes to the operating system.
So this flaw could give attackers root access to macOS devices,
Potentially, yes. It's a reminder that no operating system is perfect.
and that attackers are always looking for ways to exploit those imperfections.
It's a constant cat and mouse game between security researchers and those trying to breach systems.
So we need to stay vigilant and keep our software up to date.
Absolutely. Updates are crucial for patching vulnerabilities and staying ahead of the curve.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit and talk about software composition analysis, or SCA.
SCA is a way to analyze the software your organization uses to identify potential vulnerabilities and dependencies.
So it's like taking an inventory of all the ingredients in a recipe to make sure none of them are harmful.
Exactly. You might have written your own code securely, but if you're using a third-party library with a vulnerability, your entire system could be at risk.
So how can organizations implement SCA effectively?
There are various tools and techniques. One example is Google's open source Scalibur library.
What does Scalibur do?
It analyzes software packages for vulnerabilities and generates reports that can help organizations make informed decisions about their software supply chain.
So it's like a vulnerability scanner for your software.
In a way, yes, it's a valuable resource for anyone concerned about software security.
And it's a testament to the power of open source collaboration in the fight against cybercrime.
Absolutely. The more tools and resources we have, the better equipped we'll be to defend ourselves.
Speaking of evolving threats, what about post-quantum cryptography?
Quantum computers are still in their early stages, but they have the potential to break many of our current encryption algorithms.
So is this the end of online security as we know it?
Not necessarily. Researchers are already developing new algorithms that are resistant to quantum attacks.
So it's a race against time.
In a sense, yes, but the cybersecurity community is on it.
Good to know, because I rely on encryption for pretty much everything I do online.
We all do, and that's why this is such a critical area of research and development.
Okay, so we've covered Chinese hackers, North Korean crypto thefts, software vulnerabilities, even quantum computers. What else is on the horizon?
Well, let's talk about some regulatory developments, specifically the EU's new Digital Operational Resilience Act, or DOR.
I've heard about DORA. It's putting pressure on financial institutions to step up their cybersecurity game, right?
That's right. DOR mandates threat-led penetration testing to make sure financial systems can withstand sophisticated attacks.
So basically, they're hiring ethical hackers to try and break into their systems.
Exactly. It's like a controlled experiment to find vulnerabilities before the bad guys do.
Makes sense. Better to find the weaknesses yourself than have someone exploit them.
Precisely. And DORA covers a wide range of other security measures as well.
Like what?
Risk management, incident response, supply chain security. It's a comprehensive approach to cybersecurity.
So DORA is setting a high bar for security standards in the financial sector.
It is, which is a good thing considering how vital these institutions are to our economy.
Okay, let's talk about some vulnerabilities discovered in everyday technology.
One that caught my eye was a series of flaws in tunneling protocols, which are used in VPNs, home routers, even industrial switches.
This could potentially affect a wide range of devices that we use every day.
Exactly, and many people might not even be aware of these vulnerabilities.
So what can we do to protect ourselves?
The first line of defense is always patching. Keeping your software up to date is crucial.
Right, updates, updates, updates.
But it's not just about patching, it's also about being aware of the devices we're using and the potential risks they pose.
So do your research, read reviews, choose devices from reputable manufacturers.
Exactly, and be careful about connecting to public Wi-Fi networks without using a VPN.
Good advice. Those public Wi-Fi networks can be a hacker's paradise.
Right. they're often unsecured and easy to exploit.
Okay, let's wrap up this part of our deep dive by talking about open source collaboration in cybersecurity.
Open source software has become increasingly popular, and it's playing a vital role in the fight against cybercrime.
How so?
Well, open source tools are often free to use, making them accessible to smaller organizations and individuals who might not have the budget for expensive commercial software.
That's a good point. Accessibility is key.
And open source software benefits from the collective wisdom of a large community of developers.
So if there's a vulnerability, it's more likely to be discovered and patched quickly.
Exactly, and we've seen some great examples of open source collaboration in the cybersecurity space.
Like Google's Scalabar library and Bishop Fox's Rank tool.
These tools are making it easier for security professionals to collaborate and share knowledge, which ultimately makes us all safer.
So open source is a force for good in the cybersecurity world.
Absolutely. It's a powerful tool for building a more secure digital future.
Well said. And with that, we're going to take a quick break.
Stay tuned. We'll be back in a moment to explore even more fascinating facets of the cybersecurity landscape.
And we'll delve into some practical tips for staying safe online in this ever-evolving digital world.
Don't miss it.
Welcome back, folks. We've been exploring the wild world of cybersecurity.
And we're about to uncover even more twists and turns as we delve deeper into how cyber threats are impacting geopolitics, economics, and even social trends.
Let's kick things off with a story that's been making waves for months: the potential TikTok ban in the U.S.
TikTok, the app that's taken the world by storm.
But it's been facing some serious scrutiny over its ties to China.
Yeah, the Supreme Court just upheld a law forcing ByteDance, TikTok's parent company, to sell the app due to national security concerns.
Wow, so what happens now? Will millions of Americans have to say goodbye to their favorite dance videos and viral trends?
It's a complicated situation. The Biden administration is under pressure to enforce the law.
But then you've got President-elect Trump hinting at a possible negotiated solution.
It's become a political hot potato, but it raises a bigger issue: the tension between national security and the global reach of technology companies.
Right, it's a tough balancing act, trying to protect sensitive data while also respecting free speech and economic interests.
It's a dilemma that governments around the world are grappling with.
Speaking of sensitive data, a recent study by Verkera found something pretty alarming.
Oh, what's that?
People are becoming desensitized to data breaches.
It's like data breach fatigue has set in.
Right, it's almost like we're drowning in a sea of breaches and it's starting to feel inevitable.
But this indifference could have serious consequences.
How so?
Well, if people don't care about protecting their data, they're less likely to take precautions.
Like using strong passwords or enabling two-factor authentication.
Exactly. They become easy targets.
So it's a vicious cycle. The more breaches, the less people care, leading to even more breaches.
And attackers are counting on that apathy.
So how do we break this cycle? How do we get people to care about cybersecurity again?
It's a tough question. Part of the solution lies in education and awareness.
We need to make cybersecurity feel less technical and more relevant to people's everyday lives.
Right. Show them the real-world impact of data breaches like identity theft, financial losses, and even reputational damage.
And we need to make security measures easier to use.
I agree. User experience is key. If it's too complicated, people won't bother.
It's all about finding that balance between security and convenience.
Exactly. It's a challenge the tech industry is constantly trying to solve.
Okay, let's talk tech trends, specifically the rise of AI in cybersecurity.
AI is everywhere these days, and it's making its mark in the security world, too.
So how is AI being used to beef up security?
Well, it can automate tasks that security professionals currently do manually.
Like analyzing logs for suspicious activity.
Exactly. AI can process massive amounts of data much faster and spot patterns that humans might miss.
So it's like having a superpowered security analyst on your team.
In a way, yes, and it can also detect and respond to threats in real time.
That sounds impressive. But could AI also be used by the bad guys?
Unfortunately, yes, we're already seeing AI-powered attacks becoming more sophisticated.
So it's an AI arms race, both sides trying to outsmart each other.
You could say that, and it highlights the importance of staying ahead of the curve, constantly innovating and evolving our security strategies.
Okay, let's revisit that other emerging threat we talked about earlier, post-quantum cryptography.
Right. As quantum computers advance, they could potentially crack many of our current encryption algorithms.
So we need to be prepared for a post-quantum world.
Absolutely. And thankfully, researchers are already developing new encryption methods that are resistant to quantum attacks.
It's a race against time, but it sounds like we're making progress.
We are, and it's crucial that we continue to invest in this area to ensure the security of our data in the future.
Okay, let's switch gears and talk about some regulatory developments,
Sure.
particularly the EU's new Digital Operational Resilience Act, or DORA.
DORA is a game changer for the financial industry. It mandates rigorous penetration testing to ensure their systems can withstand sophisticated cyber attacks.
So basically, they're making banks and financial institutions hire ethical hackers to try and break into their systems.
Exactly. Think of it as a controlled experiment to expose vulnerabilities before the real bad guys find them.
It's a proactive approach. Find the weaknesses and fix them before they can be exploited.
Precisely. And DORA goes beyond penetration testing. It covers a wide range of security measures like risk management, incident response, and supply chain security,
It's a comprehensive approach to cybersecurity, setting a high bar for the financial sector.
which is crucial considering how much we rely on financial institutions for our economic stability.
Okay, let's talk about some vulnerabilities discovered in everyday technology.
One that caught my attention was a series of flaws in tunneling protocols used in VPNs, home routers, and even industrial switches.
So these vulnerabilities could affect a wide range of devices we use daily.
Exactly. And many people might not even be aware of these risks.
So what can we do to protect ourselves?
The first line of defense is always patching. Keeping your software up to date is crucial.
Right, those updates are annoying sometimes, but they're there for a reason.
Absolutely. But it's not just about patching. It's also about being mindful of the devices we're using and understanding the potential risks.
So do your research, read reviews, choose devices from reputable manufacturers.
Exactly. And be wary of connecting to public Wi-Fi networks without using a VPN.
Good reminder, those public networks can be a hacker's playground.
Right. They're often unsecured and easy to exploit.
Okay, let's wrap up this part of our deep dive by talking about open source collaboration in cybersecurity.
Open source software has become a vital part of the cybersecurity landscape, playing a crucial role in the fight against cybercrime.
How so?
Well, for one thing, open source tools are often free, making them accessible to smaller organizations and individuals who might not have the budget for expensive commercial software.
Accessibility is key, especially in the fight against cyber threats.
And open source software benefits from a large community of developers who can contribute to its security and improvement.
So if there's a vulnerability, it's more likely to be discovered and patched quickly.
Exactly. It's a collaborative effort, and we've seen some impressive open source tools emerge in the cybersecurity space.
Like Google's Scalabar library and Bishop Fox's Rank tool.
These tools are making it easier for security professionals to work together, share knowledge, and ultimately build a more secure digital world.
It's amazing how open source is driving innovation and collaboration in the fight against cybercrime.
It's a testament to the power of community and shared responsibility in tackling these complex challenges.
Okay, folks, we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive so far.
From geopolitical tensions to technological advancements and emerging threats, the cybersecurity landscape is constantly evolving.
And we've seen how these issues impact everything from our personal data to the stability of our financial systems and even the future of social media.
It's a complex and ever-changing world, but we're here to help you navigate it.
Stay tuned as we continue our exploration of the cybersecurity landscape in the final part of our deep dive.
We'll be wrapping up with some key takeaways and practical tips to help you stay safe and informed in this digital age.
All right, we're back and ready to wrap up our deep dive into the ever-evolving world of cybersecurity.
It's been quite a journey, exploring everything from nation-state cyber attacks to those tunneling protocol flaws that could be lurking in our everyday devices.
Yeah, we've covered a lot of ground, from the potential TikTok ban in the U.S. to the rise of AI in cybersecurity.
And let's not forget the looming threat of quantum computers and their potential to crack our current encryption methods.
Right, quantum computing is definitely something to keep an eye on.
It is, but thankfully, researchers are already working on quantum-resistant encryption algorithms.
That's reassuring to know, because encryption is the backbone of online security.
Absolutely. Without strong encryption, our sensitive data is vulnerable to all sorts of attacks.
So before we sign off, let's distill some key takeaways from our deep dive.
The first one is clear. Cybersecurity is no longer just an IT issue. It's a concern for everyone, from individuals to businesses to governments.
It affects us all, whether we realize it or not.
Exactly. And the second takeaway is that the threat landscape is constantly changing. Attackers are getting more creative, more sophisticated, and more persistent.
They're using AI, exploiting zero-day vulnerabilities, and targeting specific industries like healthcare and finance.
Which brings us to the third takeaway. Staying informed is more crucial than ever.
We need to understand the threats, the vulnerabilities, and the potential consequences so we can protect ourselves.
That's where resources like Cybersecurity HQ come in. We provide the news, insights, and analysis you need to stay ahead of the curve.
But knowledge is only part of the equation. We also need to take action.
That means implementing strong security measures, patching vulnerabilities promptly, and educating ourselves and our teams about cybersecurity best practices.
It also means being vigilant, questioning suspicious emails, and thinking twice before clicking on unfamiliar links.
And if you do become a victim of a cyber attack, it's important to report it and seek help from experts.
Don't be embarrassed. It happens to the best of us. The key is to learn from our mistakes and improve our security posture.
Remember, cybersecurity is a shared responsibility. We all have a role to play in protecting ourselves, our organizations, and our society from cyber threats.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, we want to leave you with a final thought.
In this increasingly interconnected world, cybersecurity is not just about protecting data, it's about protecting our way of life.
It's about safeguarding our privacy, our economy, our critical infrastructure, and our democratic institutions.
So let's stay informed, stay vigilant, and work together to build a more secure digital future.
Thanks for joining us on the Deep Dive. Until next time, stay safe online.
And don't forget to check out Cybersecurity HQ, your hub for jobs, reports, news, and a newsletter read by over 70,000 professionals weekly.